Hey guys, welcome back. Huge announcement. Well, some stuff we already knew, some stuff new, but at least we have some dates. Stay tuned. Let's talk about when this animal farm is finally going to go launching again. Alright guys, welcome back to the Crypto Wave. So there was a big video, I got through the majority of it, and as you guys know when I do this, I typically try to go through the whole thing, and then just pull all the snippets of information that are kind of the most pertinent. But there was some good alpha stuff. You know, today was the day. He did say on Tuesday he was going to announce when the animal farm would launch again officially, but he did drop some other little snippets information that are going to be pretty important to us. Some of it we already knew, like I said. Some of it wasn't super huge news, to be honest with you. But he did talk dates. Dates is a big deal. I'm kind of curious if this is shot up here. Let's see. Let's refresh this real quick. I'm going to go over all the little snippets that I pulled out that I think are pretty dang important. As well as, oh man, look at that. Dropped down to 7. People selling the news here. But as well as some of the big, kind of the important stuff that I think is going to be pretty big. This is a culmination of all the stuff that we've actually been hoping for. Mainly, one, all the FUD out there saying this wasn't going to launch again. Well, guess what? It's about to. You know, we're within, just over a month away. All the things they've been working on and promising with games and drip stuff and farming and scratchies and just all this stuff to give utility to the token and to the platform itself, as well as more stuff that it sounds like he probably hasn't even announced yet, to be honest with you. And that's simply from some facts that he told us in this actual interview, and I'll go over that in just one moment. I do have my last Friday, unfortunately, I forgot to do my stake last Friday. As you guys know, I'm dropping these in every Friday for a 2-week stake, minus these first ones. We're actually on compounding right now, so today is Tuesday, so it's a compound day. But I do have my next 10 here lined up, so when Friday comes, I'll put in another 2-week stakes. There's going to be a little gap there, unfortunately. The deterioration of these has been going down, simply because I'm sure the LP has been going down, as well as the more people who withdraw, the more the LP tokens are unavailable, so your piece of the pie diminishes over that time. What do you need for that is you need people to come into the piggy bank, and you need people to go into the LP. So I'm hoping we'll see a little bit of a boost once all these things come out, because there is going to be some dynamics. Excuse me. Sorry, it's almost 1 a.m. here. There's going to be some dynamics that he's putting in that should start pushing some of the drip price. It should push some of the pigs price. And it's going to be curious to see, because dogs, he also talked about dogs crediting. And so we should start seeing a pretty good dogs appreciation price. Simply once everything launches and the crediting is done. And the reason I'm kind of suspecting that is what we talked about in a few videos ago, which is the incentive to hold the dogs or lock them up is very, very high. There are going to be some people who probably aren't paying attention, or who haven't been following the chat, who don't know what's going on. They're going to see the dogs that they've probably forgotten at this point. It's going to get credited to their wallet. They're going to say, oh yeah, I forgot about that, I'm just going to sell it. Not knowing that it's going to have actually a 90% tax on there right off the bat. I'm not super keen on the 90% either, but I am here for the long term, and I do see the benefits of him doing this for the long term. Anytime you can take supply off the market to drive up more demand, if the demand is there, you want the supply to be limited. So it makes total sense what he's trying to do. I think it's a little tough that he did it without much input from the community itself, because I think he obviously thought the community would probably say no. But there is the potential to drive that down. And again, I've talked about it in other videos. There is a loyalty score as well as a wallet score. Loyalty score is basically how much dogs are you staking and for how long and how much. Right off the bat, if you start staking into the version 2 with the dogs, you start diminishing your tax by at least 30% at that point. Then you have the wallet bonus, which basically means if you keep everything consistent in one wallet, you're not shifting things around, moving things around, transferring from one to another, all those kinds of things. Then you actually over time start diminishing those tax fees also, to the point you can get it down to the original 6% that was on here when version 1 of the farm was active. But with that being said, let's talk about some of the things he talked about. So first and foremost, we all sent our dogs in, and we sent it to the crediting contract. You either sent dogs or you sent dogs LP. So he did mention today, if you sent dogs, you will get back dogs, period. Those dogs will have that stipulation of the 90% tax on there that he has been talking about. However, you can diminish that by staking and utilizing the platform. My guess is the vast majority of people who receive those dogs are going to be staking. So the dog, I think they're calling it the dog pound, which is going to be the single stake pool. It's probably going to get pretty saturated pretty quick, which is fine. That's how most of these things go. Really what you got to hope for is whatever you're farming, because if you are farming on the platform and everybody's staking their dogs and so there's minimal on the market itself, then what you're going to be farming with dogs, those dog values that you will either stake, sell, or do whatever you're going to do with will have a higher value. And that's a big deal. With that being said, he also did mention that if you have kept your native asset, so if you kept your cake, your BNB, your LP tokens, any of those LP tokens that you had on the original farming dogs, if you have kept those in the contract and have not removed them through the contract or emergency unstaking, then there's going to be a UI interface. There's going to be a new, in essence, a contract that you can submit it through, and it's going to automatically move you from the old farm to the new farm without any of the fees, which is huge in my opinion, because once this farm goes live, anybody new coming in is going to be doing a 4% fee, and it just takes that much longer. Well, it's either 4 or 6%, but it's going to take that much longer to earn back. The first 4% of your total value going in is lost, and you got to make that up. You got to take that into account when you're trying to break even in ROI. So anybody who didn't, such as myself, I've left the majority of my farming values I've left in here on purpose. One was I was hoping that something like that would happen, that he would kind of show a little love to those who stuck with him, but also just the fact that it prevented me during this turmoil market from being tempted to separate them, split them, sell them, and do something else with it. Sometimes the best thing to do in these markets, if you're holding tokens that you have faith in, which mine I do. I don't hold many, but the ones I have I think are going to rebound. The best thing to do is just hold it through these times. And so this kind of force held me, which I'm okay with. So with that being said, he also had mentioned that there is going to be a brand new user interface, not only for Drip, but for Animal Farm itself. So this page that you're seeing here that we've been getting accustomed to is going to be brand new. He says it's a little more streamlined, it's a little more professional, it's a little more like you would see in the traditional marketing space, which is fine. Anytime you get a revamp like that, especially with the huge marketing push they're going to be doing, this has been 5-6 months in the making. Anybody who comes to the site, you're going to want a very professional landing page. You're going to want to have that information. You want to have it streamlined. You want it to look sleek, professional. You want it to look like a reputable company. Not to say this doesn't, but this does still kind of have that old school decentralized finance kind of feel to it, which most people, especially people who aren't in crypto, doesn't really speak to them. They're used to more of those traditional Chase Bank and credit union type sites and things like that. So. Okay, so with that being said, though, he did say that the dogs that we are waiting for, the crediting that has already been submitted, will come to you. If you submitted dogs, you will get dogs back. If you submitted dogs LP, you can either choose to get the dogs LP back with a 50-day lock period, 2% releasing every day until day 50 when it's all released. And it'll also, with that, it'll have a 35% APY on there. So while you have it staked, you're earning a 35% APY, which will get you, I want to say, BUSD. I couldn't confirm that, but I believe it gets you BUSD with that APY. And on day 50, you can remove it. If you haven't been removing all along, you can remove 100% on day 50. And once that's done, you have it all removed. You can either split it, sell it, or you can move it into version 2 at that point, because there is going to be a Dogs LP version 2 that will, let me double check my notes here real quick. If you pair, I didn't say specifically. At any rate, at that point you can do what you want with it. Now, if you get your dogs back as a single asset or a single stake, you can either throw all of it into the single stake, what they call the dog pound, I think they said, and you will then begin earning, it would be opposite of Pigpen. I think this earns you BUSD. Yeah, so you'd be earning BNB through the dog pound. Or if you wanted to do a little bit more incentive, you can actually take the single asset dogs that you have, pair it with new BUSD, and then put it into the version 2 LP farm, at which point it'll start earning you a little bit more of a higher yield on that as well. He says he thinks a lot of people may be doing that. Some people may be leaning towards, or it'd be the smart move to pair it and put it in that way. I haven't decided yet. If anything, I might go 50-50 when I get my dogs credited, but we'll see how that plays out. Speaking of dogs crediting, when is it happening? When are we supposed to get this? That will be on the 15th of September. So the 15th of September is when the dog crediting is going to occur. And that's actually a really important date because, one, before the 15th, you're going to see all these new UIs getting posted and getting put up. So that's already step number one. Number two, once the crediting is done, he wants to spend an entire month promoting. And this is where all that promotion, and he hired people and the whole thing, which is important. And he made a good point during the video, which is basically all the crediting, just like it happened with pigs. He wants all of that done. He wants all the crediting done, all the people who come into the chat, all the confusion, because as we know with the pigs, there's people that are going to be saying they didn't get it, and there's going to be complaints, and there's going to be, who knows what. It could be any number of things. He wants all of that squashed before huge marketing push comes on that post-crediting, so that, so that the focus can just be on anybody new coming in and the relaunch of that farm itself. So let's see. He did say the day after crediting is done, there's going to start being ads. There's going to be a landing page. There's going to be the new UI. The marketing push starts at that point. It's basically going to be marketing for an entire month. So from September 15th until October 18th. October 18th is a Tuesday. It's about a month after the crediting starts, is when the farm will go live at that point. And there's a huge marketing push before that time, and then there's going to be even more marketing push post that time. And the reason there's going to be more marketing post after that is because, and this is one of the things he said that was very, very key, there's actually going to be products that they've been working on. One of them was called, let me go to my notes here. So Scratchy is going to be one. There's also one that's called Dogs of Fortune. And there's a couple others that they were working on, but all of those things are going to utilize either drip or pigs or dogs or some variation of those or some combination of those to drive utility to these assets. But the bigger thing he said, which I thought was super impressive and what I'm really hoping for, is that they have products set up. So once this goes live, October 18th, they have products set up, not only a couple of weeks, he said 2 to 3 weeks after that launch date, but then there's going to be something else getting launched about every month to month and a half for the next year and a half, which is huge. It's going to keep utilities coming. It's going to keep things fresh. It's going to keep people interested. It's going to drive price. It's going to drive people. Couple that with the advertising and marketing push that he's going to be doing. Not to mention the other thing he had talked about, and one of the things I wish he talked about this, and I was hoping he would have clarified, is he basically said he wants to take anything in the current financial system, find a way to utilize that and master it in the decentralized system so he can start disrupting and kind of challenging the traditional financial market, which is, in my opinion, well needed, and I think that's where crypto's heading in general. So I like being ahead of the curve and like him thinking about it. But the question is, and what I want to know, because he hasn't quite directly answered, is all these new tools that do come out that he is planning, how will the drip pigs or dogs token play into those? Are they going to be things that just run on their own and then hopefully it makes people curious and they come over to here and start using it? Or are those tokens going to be the main source of transfer of value and things depending on what he does? So that's one of the big things I want to know. I just want to make sure that whatever products are coming, that it is still going to add more utility to these tokens that are already on here. So there's a couple of the things that he had mentioned, but to be honest with you, those are kind of the biggest points. In my opinion, super huge news. Everybody's been waiting to know, when are these farms going to kick back off again? We now have that date. It is October 18th. I'm sorry I don't sound nearly as excited. I'm actually inside, but it's again because it's about 1 o'clock in the morning and I am freaking exhausted. Excuse me once again. But it's huge news. So biggest thing, what do you need to know at this moment? Biggest thing you need to know right now is, I would say, get back into the Telegram group, start listening in, paying attention to the announcements and posts in there. If you're not following the social media like Twitter and such, go ahead and start following those again. Big date coming up is what the first one we're looking for is September 15th. That's whenever all the dogs crediting. Hopefully that goes down without a hitch and we all get our dogs. It does give us some time. I like that I'm going to get my dogs on the 15th. I want to see how many I have. I want to see how I can pair it up. What's the value going to be, approximately. Can I pair it with BUSD? Is that reasonable given my bankroll? And kind of get a plan together so that way I can get things lined up, so when the October 18th comes, we hit the ground running and we start seeing this bad boy back in action again. So I will end it here. I'm tired. I'm going to go try and get some sleep. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know it's been a while since I did a video, but that's only because we've been kind of status quo for a bit. But this was a huge announcement. I'll be trying to do videos more often as we approach the launch. And I've also decided I'm going to start trying to do some videos much like this. As you guys know, my channel is kind of dominated by Animal Farm at the moment, but there was projects in there. I mentioned it briefly before. There's one called Star Atlas that I'm on. It's on the Solana chain. I really like that project. I should start talking more about it and kind of showing what they're doing, because I think that's also going to be one. I actually have some stakes in their DAO for the next 5 years planted already, so if that means anything of kind of where I think it's going, and if you haven't heard of it before, it's a pretty amazing project. So I'll start doing some videos on that, and then we'll go from there. So I'll be doing those two platforms as well as other things that come across that I truly believe in and I see long-term potential for. So all right guys, thanks for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. Please share this video, like, subscribe. If there's any questions, comments, anything of that nature, please drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer, and I hope you guys have a great night.